Hi, I'm John Beener with Wise Counsel. I founded it many years ago, been working with as many as 400 entrepreneurs over that time, and it's been a fun ride, exciting. And during that journey, the Lord has led me to write some books. The first one is now called True Wealth by the Book. This is the third edition, and it's been a great book. It's the 3 cornerstones on how to build a business on a solid foundation of biblical principles, and how to sustain it, and how to really build an organization that people will want to work for, people will want to buy the products. So it's a great book. I wrote a second book, which is called The Freedom Revolution, Rocking Our World. I've also written a third book, which is another one we won't talk about right now, but it's called The Untold Secret That Creates True Wealth. It's about building a business and the visions, the ideas you get, and the leading from God. But this particular book is what I want to feature on right now. The Freedom Revolution, Rocking Our World. Back in 2006, the Lord started calling me to start writing a book. And it was why and how the towers came down in New York City. You know, it was a sad story. You know, we were still hurting as a nation because of that experience. Okay, and people are still grappling. Why would a God that loves us, and loves our country, allow this to happen? And I'm totally convinced the reason why, and feel like if you look at the evidence and you look at the reasoning behind it, what happens is it's all about drawing America into the Middle East and actually dealing with Islam and changing the world, as well as dealing with China. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And the reason I am is because one of the things that have come from that is in 2002, the Chinese government, which was experiencing a lot of growth from business and industry because of American companies going over there, building new plants, working with the communist government because of cheaper labor. You know, that's why the English came to the United States in New England with the textile industry, because the labor was cheaper in the United States. That's why the textile industry moved to the Carolinas, because the labor was cheaper. And now it's eventually even in South Korea and other parts of the world, India and other places where you don't see many merchandise things that are made in the United States, particularly in the clothing line. But the point is, in 2002, the communist government in China decided they were going to send an atheist economics professor from a university to the United States and study its economy for a year and say, come back, why is America's economy so strong? What is it they do that makes it so strong? And it's amazing. He spent a year here in the United States, traveled the country, and what ends up happening is he starts visiting churches, other things he learned about in America, and he came back a born-again Christian, committing his life to Jesus Christ. And he came back and wrote a paper, and it's a document that's still up on the internet today. It's about market economies with churches versus market economies without churches. What he says is that the values taught by churches, and that means not just physical churches, that's the body of Christ, because we are the church. It has changed people's lives because they live more from a moral point of view of how they respect one another. Just like J.C. Penney say, the golden rule still works. You know, you're allowed to take back products and services. And what also happens is it's about the character, the calling of an individual, the visions, the unctions they get, the leading from God in terms of starting an enterprise or an organization, or using their gifts and talents, or even their hobbies, the things that they're good at. That's what actually builds a business, is people that have a passion for that. And so what happens is the Chinese government is totally floored by that, but they start to see it and they start to recognize that's more of what they need to do. In fact, what ends up happening is they form the Church of State. They realize that the Christians in China are not going to be trying to take down the government like they always thought they would, but they're going to actually pray for the government. Have you heard of that before? It works, doesn't it? And what happens is that the Chinese government then is so touched by it, it's what I call backing out of communism, working toward freedom. You can't do both, juggle the both. They're still trying to juggle it right now, but it's not going to work. Because again, what this professor said is that when you look at our economy as Chinese, we've always done business with I'll screw you as a businessman before you screw me. I'll take advantage of you. I'll lie and cheat, steal, whatever it takes. And that's what we're dealing with in China right now, with stolen patents and licensing things that have never been reconciled. Companies never been paid for, and they've been taken to international courts, and the Chinese still refuse to go along with those courts because they want it their way. The communist leaders are loving the economic values, and of course the whole society has changed. The value of everyone's jobs, cars, everything is changing in China because of economic growth and the freedoms they've had. But the communist government again established the church of state, and there's major churches they've created in major cities, but they select the pastor, and they don't want the pastor to go too far on the deep end, but they still teach basic biblical values there. It's amazing. Millions of people in China are coming to Christ. It's the most rapid areas in the world where people are coming to Christ is in China and also in the Middle East. In the Middle East is where Christians, or Muslims rather, are coming to Christ in the millions, as well as in China. People's hearts are touched by this all. You know, it's incredible. It used to be that the Bible was banned in China. Okay, now they're the leading manufacturer of Bibles in the world, right? It's amazing. All through the countryside, you find an office building, young people getting together, having a church on the 3rd floor of an office building in downtown Shanghai. It's amazing. God is doing great works throughout the world, and we want to encourage President Trump to stay on this whole track of negotiating with the Chinese. Let's get this deal right. And yes, tariffs can be used. Why not? They've been used against us as a nation for so long. We can use it to others to get them back to the negotiating table. That's what Trump wants to do. That's his strength. He's the art of the deal. He knows how to do this kind of thing. Anyway, this is John Beener. Hope you gained some insight from what I just shared. If you want more insights, we have a show called Wise Counsel's Good News 316. Check it out here. Come to our website, wisecounsel.us, and you can learn more about what we do and how we work with entrepreneurs. Love to see you again.